Hello and welcome to 70 Years, 70 Muppets, a Muppet fan podcast presented by Toughpigs.com. This is the podcast where we spotlight the Muppets' 70th anniversary with 70 straight weeks of spotlights on our favourite Muppet characters, from the most popular to the most obscure. I am this week's host, Jarrod Fairclough, and the Muppet of the week is the big guy himself, Kermit the Frog. Designed, built, and first performed by Jim Henson, before being performed by Steve Whitmire, and now Matt Vogel, making his world debut 70 years ago this week, in 1955. My guest today is the man currently behind, or mainly under, the frog. He's also the current performer of New Zealand, Flo Pepper, Sweetums, as well as Big Bird and the Count on Sesame Street, plus Mr. Yak from episode 4192, where we first met. It is the one and only Matt Vogel. Welcome, Matt V.
Hey, Jarrod, how you doing?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. You know, when in your intro there, it kind of sounded like when you were saying, Jim and then Steve and then Matt, and I know you were talking about Kermit, but it also sounded like I had been playing him since 1955 for some reason. Do you know what I'm
Yeah, all
saying?
right, all right, all right. So, have you?
No, no, that's the crazy thing.
Okay.
Not that long.
Not
No, but
that
it has
long.
been but it's been 8 years. I think
It
it's
has
been
been
about
eight
8 years.
years.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, before we start getting into your time as Kermit and Kermit
Yeah,
himself, well, let's talk Muppets because, again,
sure.
this week, I should say, is sort of the 70th anniversary week. 70
Yeah.
years is a big deal. What are your sort of earliest Muppet memories?
My earliest Muppet memories are I was a huge fan of the Muppet Show when I was growing up, and Sesame Street as well. And it was the puppet parts and the animations for Sesame Street that really drew me in. A lot of those animations ended up being Jim Henson
Yep.
pieces, but the Muppet pieces, the specifically like in front of a brick wall, or doing people in your neighborhood, or for the Muppet Show, just any episode of the Muppet Show. I just loved that show and could not wait for where we were. It was like Sunday nights,
Hmm.
and I could not wait for that. And that one, really, the Muppet Show was the thing that kind of made me go, oh, what are they doing? What is that? What is happening? What are they doing there? Because sometimes you would see like the head of a
Yeah.
performer. They were a little less precious about it back then. And sometimes you see the head of the performer or the sub sleeve. I was just talking about this the other day with one of the other Muppet performers, because we had a big sub sleeve, which is the part underneath, like your human hand goes in, like on, for example, Ernie.
Yep.
Your human hand goes in, and you can see this sub sleeve, which is looks like Ernie's sweater, but it's like another part of an arm there. And
Hmm.
seeing that when I was a little kid in the 70s made me just like, kind of blew my mind. I was like, what's going on there? So it was really those two shows, like memories of, generally them being these things that kind of awakened a inspirational piece of me and made me want to make puppets and perform and do things like that.
Yep. I'm sort of the same. I remember being a little kid and it was the puppetry that
Hmm.
um that really got me. And I remember being, when did Muppet Treasure Island come out? 96 or so.
Yeah.
I had a little Kermit Smollett toy. And
Uh-huh.
once I figured out how they were being done, like, yes, okay, I couldn't, put my hand in and sort of puppeteer, but I got sticks from outside and put them on his arms and would sort of hold him up and, like, figure out how
Yeah.
to get his arms working. Um, you talk about like
Well, but I think that's kind of like what's amazing about puppetry is like a lot of people don't really know how it's done.
mm,
And the people that came, the people that inspired all of the current Muppet performers were just brilliant at what they did, from
yes.
just the art, from the characters that they created were so amazing.
Mm,
And they're so amazing that they still are around today. But the puppetry, the actual skill and the look of the puppet and what it's doing on screen was the thing that kind of, we believed it was real as kids. But then there's also like this understanding that, oh, it is a puppet, and how does it work? It's, I think, the more curious minds kind of like want to know a little bit more about the artwork, the art of the puppetry, which I think is kind of fun.
Well, one of my favorite things to see is like you see photos of the Sesame Street set, whatever it is, and you've got like four or five puppeteers crammed into a tiny little space.
Yeah.
But then you see what's happening above the frame and it's flawless. And you think, how are they
Yeah.
getting away with doing that where they're so uncomfortable and so like I can't imagine the amount of body odor you've had to smell over the years and all these sorts of things because you
Well,
are
that's
crammed
I
in
mean,
together.
I would say Muppet performers usually smell pretty good
They
because
do.
early on, you're kind of, that you're how you smell.
Yes, I can imagine.
Other people are going to smell you
Yeah.
during the day because you are really you're so close.
Um, well, a question you're talking about, like the like the sub sleeve, is that what you called
Subsleeve,
it?
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Um, this is a conversation that some of us were having recently. I'm of the belief I love seeing arm rods. I love seeing arm rods. I love seeing the sub sleeves, whatever it might
Sure.
be. And yeah, that's something that gets removed a lot of the time in my productions now. Your thoughts?
Well, I think for certainly for the films that they removed everything, and I think even for the Muppet series they removed all the rods. But I
Hmm.
think since then, I think since maybe like Muppets Now and Muppets Haunted Mansion, we did not remove very many rods. You'll see rods in there, and we've kind of, I think the current regime of the Muppet Studio is kind of okay with knowing that these are puppets. It's
Yeah,
okay that people know these are puppets, and you can see, the rods on a lot of things if you look now. There are certain things like if it's like a big special effect or something and they want to really kind of wow you with that, then we will remove the rods to kind of enhance the puppetry. But generally speaking, if their hands are down low, we don't remove the rods with Muppet stuff, and we certainly don't with Sesame Street.
yeah.
They're still there.
Um, well, look, let's we should probably talk about the frog.
And
Uh,
who's this now?
Robin.
Ah, yes,
Yeah, he's very cute.
got it. Yep.
But we'll talk about his uncle first.
Yeah. Okay.
So you talk about, those early Muppet memories, watching the Muppet Show and stuff like that. Do you have any early Kermit memories?
I do. I have a memory of, and I don't know if this is like a memory that I have now as an adult because YouTube exists now,
Hmm.
but it didn't when I was a kid. I have a memory of, so, and I was a kid, so it probably was something I saw on YouTube. But one of the things that I love to watch, and it just kind of brings me back to like an like a place in time, was seeing Jim on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson with Kermit the Frog early on. It
Hmm.
was probably maybe before the Muppet Show or maybe right as the Muppet Show I'm not it came on, and just there was just a really kind of fun conversation that Kermit had with Johnny Carson, and I don't remember exactly I think he talked about, like, he asked him what do you like to eat, and I think Kermit said something like cheeseburgers and a milkshake or something, like it was something like a that seemed like it was off the top of Jim's head when he was asked this by Johnny Carson. And so, like, those moments where they're just kind of existing in the real world
Yep.
are kind of fun for me to see Kermit doing that. But then I'm also amazed and I'm in awe of, like, any work that Jim did in the movies. In particular, like, the comes to mind is Stepping Out with a Star
Hmm.
from Great Muppet Caper. I think it's just some really great fun puppetry. It just looks really cool. And these are all really just memories that I've had over the years. I can't really think of one specifically from when I was a kid. Some of these could be that, and I'm just kind of have carried them with me through my
Yeah.
whole life. So it's hard to say. But I love the um, Happy Feet. I love that
Yes.
because it's all about the puppetry and what you don't see,
Mm.
but the performance is so good that there must be feet down there dancing and there must be, but
Yeah, it's
there's not.
I showed that, so my girlfriend does tap dancing and I showed
Uh-huh.
that to her recently. I was like,
Yeah.
just for some reason it popped into my head. I think she was trying to figure out what song they were going to do for their concert later in the year. I was like, "Oh, I've got the song for
I
you."
got one. Yeah.
And I showed it to her and she's like, "That's so impressive." Like she was gobsmacked just watching this
Yeah.
thing and how amazing because uh you really do believe that he has feet. And
Yeah.
it's amazing that they do a whole song and you do not see those feet.
No.
I will say one thing that I thought was great with the live shows that you guys did a few years ago was you guys did Happy Feet.
We
Um,
did. Yeah.
and I don't know who was puppeteering those feet during that number, but they did a great job. I thought if anything's gonna follow up, I guess Happy Feet, you guys did it justice with that piece.
Yes, yeah, we had a great team. I had Drew Massey and Alice Deneen were helping me with Kermit, I believe, on those pieces, if I remember correctly.
Mhm.
And it was a blast to do. And I we would have done it, I guess, just the standard way, but because you're doing a big live show and you don't
Mm.
really see Kermit full body that often, this seemed like a good opportunity to do that. So yeah, seemed fun.
Yeah, there's so look, there's sort of I sort of put Kermit in three eras, I guess you'd call it,
Okay.
which goes along with the three puppeteers. So you've obviously got Jim who started the whole thing, Sam and Friends,
Sure.
weird lizard that he was before he became a frog. Um, I think my question for you, sort of, and maybe we'll go through both, Jim and Steve's Kermit a little bit differently. But where do you sort of draw? Do you draw on much from, say, Jim's Kermit when you're playing him?
Yes, and I do think that this is a very specific request. That was when we did the audition for Kermit.
Hmm.
That was kind of what we were told to use as our reference point,
Yeah,
was Jim's Kermit.
yeah,
And so yes, the answer is yes. That is kind of what I tried to go with. But I also and I had Jim's Kermit in my head and in my life for you know 20 some years,
mhm,
right? And then I had Steve's Kermit in my head for 20 some years as well.
mhm.
So, in my head, there's like this weird combination of them, I think.
Yes,
But
yes,
my touchstone is to try to focus on a Jim Henson Kermit.
Kermit. Yeah. So, well, let's talk a little about the audition process if we
Sure.
can. Sort of, so, Steve's gone. You're now, the Muppets need to find a new Kermit.
Mhm.
What does that look like to you? Sort of, how does that come up, and then how does that process look?
So some of us were asked a very small, well, I think actually there was probably a wider audition with puppeteers that were known to the Muppet Studio and perhaps to the Jim Henson Company as well. The Jim Henson Company was involved in every step of the way.
Hmm.
Brian Henson in particular
Hmm.
was involved every step of the way. My first audition was kind of not a cattle call, but I guess because it wasn't just anybody could be there, you had to be invited. But I was invited to do an audition, which I did, and then that was in New York, and then from there, I feel like there was a second audition, but that was in L.A. at the Jim Henson Company studios, and then from there, they each time they would narrow down the pool
Yeah,
so that by the end, there were four of us that were auditioning, and it was a multi faceted audition process that lasted months,
yeah,
really. And Brian Henson was there, and Kevin Clash was there, and Brian would be very candid with us and give us very candid thoughts about the things that we were doing. They would have we would watch videos. They had different pieces that they wanted us to do to try to kind of be as much like the Jim Henson Kermit as that we could get, as close
yeah,
as we could get to that. But also by still trying to keep it alive and real and who we are, because it's such a interesting character, Kermit, because he is so much Jim. I mean, so much Jim's voice. Like it's really just Jim's voice, and he just kind of pitched it up a little bit. And the same with Steve over some time. Like
yeah,
there was a big effort. I feel like in the beginning, I don't want to speak for Steve, but in the beginning, there was a big effort. It seemed like that he was trying to imitate Jim,
yeah,
which kind of where you got to start. But then
yeah,
it becomes who you are, and
yeah. Of
so
course.
voice kind of sounded Kermit sounded like Steve's voice, but a little higher. And
Yeah.
so I guess that's kind of the pattern of it. He's also like Kermit is such a three-dimensional character
Mm.
that when you put on a goofy voice or try to make it bigger or try to do something that it's not, it doesn't feel as genuine
Yep.
somehow, I think, to me.
Do you remember any of the things you had to do in those auditions?
Yes, we did there was a backstage Muppet Show scene,
Hmm.
and we had so the people that were auditioning, we were not only like we were there all together all at once. We called it Frog Camp, and we were there all at once, and so we were able to see each other's performance, and we could give comments on it. We could, because the puppet community, the puppeteering community is a very supportive community, and so I'd say by and large, and so we wanted, each other to we wanted to raise each other up and help each other up and give each other the best um, opportunity to
Yeah.
move forward.
Yeah.
But we did a backstage Muppet Show scene. There was a talk show. There was a talk show scene where we had somebody that asked questions of us, and it was Kermit and Gonzo, and Dave Goles was there. And then we did the Comedians a Bear, and Eric Jacobson was there. And then we did It's Not Easy Being Green, and they had they built a whole set for It's Not Easy Being Green, and they shot it and everything. Like we shot it live. It wasn't like a pre-recorded voice. We did it
Yep.
live. And what else? I think that might have been it. Like those four pieces.
Yep.
And we just those were like over different weeks throughout the process,
Yeah.
if I remember.
So what's that then? All right, you get the phone call or the whatever it is to say, Matt, congratulations, you're Kermit the Frog. What does that feel like in that moment?
It's very numbing. It's a very numbing. It's like I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop anyway. So like any good news, I'm like, thanks, and genuinely thankful for that. But uh, and it was Debbie McClellan who called from the Muppet Studio at the time, and she was the one who told me. And I told my family, and they kind of were like, they were very like super excited, as I was too, but I'm just more of a reserved person, I guess, when it comes to that kind of news. And they were jumping off the walls. They were kind of exhibiting the kind of behavior that I was feeling inside, but as hard for me to kind of let myself do.
Yeah.
Just in general, just as a person, I think.
Well, it's good that you had them to sort of, at least they could do the celebrating for you, which is nice.
Yes, yeah.
But no, I
But because
completely understand that.
while it's a huge honor, and it's like it's a dream come true, and it was certainly nothing I ever anticipated or thought that would be one day when I was a kid. I'd never think like I want to do that. I want to be Kermit one day. I never
Yeah.
thought that. I never thought I want to be Big Bird one day. I never thought that I wanted to be a Muppet performer one day. I didn't know that was a job as a kid. But then being in it and seeing it kind of happen, it's an unreal experience, and
Yep.
I take it very seriously, and it's a great honor and a big responsibility,
Yeah.
and I want to honor the character and what uh, Jim in particular brought to the character. I
Yeah.
try to be true to that.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, what I think is good. I remember first seeing, I think you did a Muppet of the Week, whatever it was. I think the very first video
Hmm.
that came out, and I
Hmm.
remember going, "Oh, good, he still feels like Kermit." Uh, and for me, that's the most important part, that these characters, as the performers change, still feel like themselves. So,
Yeah.
like, I felt that, Steve's Kermit felt like Kermit, and
Hmm.
you've come and stepped in, and you still felt like Kermit. And so I think that's a real testament to you and your skills, that you can sort of embody that character and he still feel consistent throughout the last 70 years.
Yeah, I think that's well, thank you first of all, and I think that is a credit to the Muppet performers,
Mhm.
because these were not necessarily intended to be voice matches. We're not,
Yeah.
like on a cartoon, they really do try to find voice matches. But for The Muppets, that's always a great bonus, but it's really there's a lot of other things that go into it. There is the technique of the puppetry. There is the ability and the years of experience and knowledge of working with the other Muppet performers that just kind of help elevate a performance from no matter who it is that's
Yeah.
in that is somebody that's taken over these roles. So, that is the goal with any of the Muppet performers is that we want it to feel like those characters
Yeah.
um, moving
Yeah.
forward.
Well, look, like you said, you've been doing this now for 8 years.
Yeah.
Uh, you've done some amazing things as Kermit over the last 8 years. Have you got a favorite?
Have I got a favorite? It was really great to do. I love doing live performances. We don't usually do that
Yeah.
with the Muppets. It's usually because they're created for TV and films.
Mhm.
That's why they're such beautiful pieces of art. These puppets are. They've been created by these amazing artisans, and so specifically because they work in a close up, but getting to perform live has is really such it's so much fun because you get that instant audience reaction. You can feel their energy. And one of my very favorite things that I've done so far was probably the first time that we did the Muppets Take the Bowl.
Yep.
That was one of the first performances that I did. I think I had done some Muppet of the Week things that were video, but this was like the first really big thing. And to be out there in front of 18,000 people for that weekend each night was uh, exhilarating, and it was really, really fun. And there have been a lot of those kinds of things where I've gotten opportunities to play, sing with Willie Nelson, uh, or be there for the King's coronation, things like that that are just like they're just crazy, fun, unique, once in a lifetime kinds of experiences, and those are really fun. I really do cherish those kinds of appearances.
Yeah, fantastic. Matt, I could talk to you for a billion hours about the frog,
Oh,
about all of these
okay.
things, but unfortunately, oh, you want to? Okay, great.
Yeah, yeah, keep going.
Cool. Let's talk about his collar. No, I don't know.
All right.
Um, that's anyway. I don't understand. Actually, there's a question.
Oh, sure.
What is his collar?
What
Is
is
that
it?
part of him? Is he wearing it? No one knows.
Yeah, it's like I think it's an abstract. It's just an abstract shape that kind of breaks up I mean, just
The
literally that's
look.
what I think it is. It just breaks up him from looking like this kind of
Yeah,
plain thing, and that's what I think it is. I mean, why did he have two collars at one point?
I don't know.
What was that? Why he had two collars,
But
and
then
then
did
they
he
were like, "Nah,
shed the
just
other
one."
one?
Yeah, I don't know.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
I don't know. I'm glad we've gotten to the bottom of it in this podcast, though.
Yeah, well, I think we've really just scratched the surface. This could be a whole other podcast.
Yeah, join us next week for
Yeah,
the collar cast.
yeah.
Matt, where can people find you? You've done some. Oh, we should. I should quickly mention as well. You've got a new podcast. I say new, newish at this point.
Newish, yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, it's a podcast called Solve for Gen X. And being a member of Generation X, I, along with two of dear friends of mine, Ashley Ward and Nate Starkey, we get together and we pull a topic from a fanny pack and we discuss it. It could be music that we grew up with, or it could be about, like we did one about our reactions now to watching 16 Candles, like things
Okay.
like that. And it's
Yeah.
like how, wow, that's would never be able to happen today, that kind of thing. And then we look to somebody from another generation. They could be, they could be a baby boomer. They could be a Gen Z. They could be a millennial. And then we ask them their reflections or their reactions to something as well to see if we can kind of, what are the commonalities between our generations? Are we really that different than, we think or we feel sometimes?
Yeah.
And that's kind of it. And it's just fun. It's a lot of fun to just kind of get together and talk with a couple of friends of mine for an hour, and then
Yeah, perfect. It's
it's fun.
it's a lot of fun that show. You've had some great guests and stuff on. Jess McKenna is one of my favorite people in the world.
She's
And
great. Yeah.
I'm a big Dropout fan, so I watch a lot of her stuff. So I see Jess McKenna and I listen.
Oh, good.
So where can people find you, Matt, if they want to find you on the internet, if at
Anywhere that
all?
you, yeah. Well, I'm on Instagram.
Hmm.
At Welcome Matt V, and that's kind of like my hub, I think, for anything that you would want to get from me. I do have a website that I desperately need to update, but that's at mattvogel.com. But all of the podcasts that I do, both Below the Frame and Solve for Gen X are available anywhere you find your podcasts. That's where
Uh,
those are.
they are, and look, I'll recommend Below the Frame, of course, but you did an episode with Eric Jacobson about
Mhm.
the live show you guys did for the
Yes.
Disney Cruise Line. We won't go into it here. You can listen to
Uh,
you and Eric talk all about it, but I loved that episode. I think I
oh,
emailed you
thanks.
as I was listening to it, going, "I'm really enjoying this episode."
It
So,
is one that, like, they're doing that show though aboard the. I know you can cut this out if
oh
you
no,
want,
let's talk.
but I Eric and I loved because we wrote it. We wrote this show. It was a two-man show, and we had like 18 Muppets in it, and it was so much fun to put that show together with Eric and just kind of we just did things that we thought would be fun to do, and it was so much fun to put it on. And the Muppet Studio was super supportive, and the Disney Cruise Line were super supportive as well. And it was just a blast. I would love to do that again.
Yeah, fantastic.
Anyway.
That's one of those things where I think for a long time a lot of us have been championing like let the Muppet performers like be creative and do things with these characters. And you look at, you know, uh Muppets Mayhem, Bill being such a
Mhm.
driving force behind that. And then you guys doing this, I really this is coming from someone who wants to, create things with the Muppets. I'm still going, yeah, but let these guys go first. Like you guys keep doing it, and then I'll follow in your footsteps. Matt,
Yeah.
it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much, and now let's roll the music, and I'll do the credits. 70 Years, 70 Muppets is a Muppet fan podcast presented by toughpigs.com, hosted by a whole myriad of people and edited by them as well. Produced by Jarrod Fairclough. The Muppet 70 logo used with permission by the Muppet Studio with thanks to Danny Iglesias, Frank Reich Snyder and Lee Slaughter. Don't forget to follow toughpigs.com on all social media platforms. You can support us by heading to patreon.com/toughpigs or buying a t-shirt at tpublic.com/toughpigs.